Hello, and today we are going to do some seafood bouillabaisse, basically a seafood stew. You can use whatever fish, shellfish that you would like to incorporate. Today I have some tuna, some scallops, some shrimp, just chopped it up a little bit, and then some haddock. Again, you can interchange that. It's nice to have some clams and mussels. That's pretty common. Unfortunately right now, clams and mussels we weren't able to get with the way things are, but again, you can, whatever you have at home, if you have some seafood left over, maybe you cook something else, you have some raw seafood left, you can turn it into a nice stew. And then we have some onion and fennel and leek, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, but I want to get this started first so we have time to get that done and you can see the finished product. So I have a rondeau pot on the stove, okay, and it has the tall sides, so a little bit bigger, taller than a saute pan would be. And I'm going to put some of my leek and my fennel in there, and some nice garlic, and some onion, lots of onion, I like onion, get that all in there. And I'm going to let this start cooking. Give it a little stir. I don't want a ton of browning. If I get a tad bit, that's okay. I really don't want a lot of browning in this because it's going to be a fish stew, a bouillabaise. So I'm just trying to tenderize all of these vegetables. Once I get some nice tenderization in here, and it doesn't take too long, maybe 2 minutes or so, then I'm going to add my liquids. All right, so I made a nice seafood stock. And if you know from stock making how long things cook, when we get down to a fish stock, it's pretty quick. So you still have your same ingredients, your mirepoix, your fish scraps. You can use shrimp shells and things like that. But it's only going to take about 45 minutes or so to get the flavors out of there. Much quicker than a chicken or certainly a beef stock. So again, you can use the scraps for what you're using in the bouillabaisse itself to make stock first. Right, so already you can see my vegetables are getting nice and tender, right? Not any browning, and very little is okay, but you don't want too much. But I'm really kind of sweating it out. Just use a little bit of olive oil. You don't want a lot of fat in there. This is a fairly healthy dish, right? Pretty low in fat, good proteins, some vegetables. So this is going to be a pretty healthy dish. All right, so now that I've gotten that, I'm going to add in my stock. I'm going to put in a little splash of fresh squeezed lemon juice. Always use fresh, especially for something like this. You don't want to use that bottled stuff. And then I have a little bit of saffron water. We'll go over this in a second. So I'm going to add my saffron water in there, and that's going to give it a yellow tinge. But the aroma, the aromatic of that, amazing. Saffron is unlike anything else. So that adds a beautiful, beautiful flavor to our finished dish. Again, along with the combination of the fennel and the onions and the leek. And I'm going to put some nice coarse ground Himalayan pink salt in here. So the coarse ground you can use in anything where it's going to dissolve well. You don't want to put coarse ground salt in something that then someone's going to crunch into the big pieces of. But when you have a stew and it's going to dissolve in there, that's fine. So salts have lots of different flavors, just like different types of peppers do. So you don't have to just use the regular old Morton table salt. You want to use some nice salts and really bring out that flavor. All right. So now that we've got that started, that's our broth. I'm going to bring over our fish and some tomato product. So this is canned crushed tomato, so it almost looks like a paste, but not quite. And I'm going to put in about 8 ounces of that into our stew. And then from there, I need to thin out with a little extra stock. I certainly can. A nice medium to medium high heat. So we're not quite boiling, but just underneath that. So we got our nice tomato product in there, and now I can put my different fish and seafood. Right. again, we have some shrimp. We have some haddock. We have some scallop. And we have some tuna. A little bit different to throw tuna in there, but again, I'm trying to utilize some of the seafood that I had frozen. So that's why I chose these ones. Again, you can put in whatever your favorite seafood is. If you like clams and mussels and shrimp and you really don't want to put any fish in there, that's fine. If you want to stick with white fish, which is pretty traditional, to just use a white fish in here, your haddock and cod and halibut and things like that, that's fine. Like I said, tuna I wouldn't normally use, but I had some and I wanted to put it in there. So that's what I'm going to put. So if you have anything at home, feel free to use it. All right, so I'm just going to bring this up to a simmer and let this cook out for a little bit, and we're going to go and talk about some of the ingredients that are in here that you might not know about. All right, so again, some of the ingredients that we have in here you may or may not be familiar with. So we have a leek. Okay? This is what a leek looks like when you buy it in the store. You've probably seen them before. Maybe we're a little intimidated by it in this big leafy part, all right? Well, this is basically what you use from where the root is to where the green starts to turn really dark, because this is, pretty tough, and the texture's not great, and there's really not much flavor left when you get that high. So you cut the leek down, really simple to do, all right? Just kind of come up here, take off your root, split it in half, and then when you do that, very often you're going to see a lot of dirt, okay? So they're grown in the dirt, so it's not uncommon. This one's fairly clean. But it's not uncommon to see a lot of dirt in there. So you're going to want to rinse these off, like I did with this leek, before you utilize them, okay? Remember that one. So I'm actually going to add this one in. I was waiting so I could cut this for you. So I'm going to split it, and then just give it a nice rough chop. I'm going to put that right in the bouillabaise with the rest of our leek and onion and tomato and fish and shrimp. Throw that right in there. I'm also going to add in a little bit of white wine. Got to have a little bit of white wine and a good bouillabaise. Give that a little bit more of a stir. Okay, and then we're going to talk about fennel, another ingredient that's really common in a bouillabaise. So a fennel, this is a fennel bulb. You might see it with the stalks and the ferns still on it. Depends on the store that you purchase it from. But again, this part isn't really, this is good for flavor, so you could soak it, boil it out, and get the flavor from it. But if you're going to eat it or add it into a stew, you wouldn't be using this portion of the fennel. Okay, you're going to use the bulb itself. It has a core in it, so when I split it down the middle, this is cut in half. One half is already in there. All you do is kind of cut that triangular shaped core out. Okay, a little too hard to use. But again, this is great for flavor. So if you wanted a stock that had some, or a sauce that had some fennel infused flavor in it, you can certainly use this, but you're not going to slice that up and put it in it. Now this part of the fennel, however, you can slice up and use. And what flavor does fennel have, or aroma certainly comes out? Black licorice, right? So if you like black licorice, you're going to like fennel. But it is a pretty strong flavor. So when you do cut it, what you're going to want to do is cut it really thin. Basically what we call shaving. You can even put this on a slicer, okay? So that you have these really thin, nice pieces. And that can go great in a salad, all right? Very common in Italian restaurants. Put some nice shaved salad, a nice shaved fennel in the salad, or even just a shaved fennel salad with some Parmesan. Delicious. A little olive oil. But in our case, that's going in our bouillabaise. So what I did was I just finished cutting that, and I chopped it up into more of a dice, right? Before I added it in our stock, or our base, all right? And it's gonna cook out, again with all those liquids, just like any other stew would. That's gonna cook out and soften up, so I didn't have to worry about shaving it really thin like I did with the first part, like if I was gonna put it in a salad. Okay. I think I have enough fennel in there, so I just wanted to show you what the fennel was like. So I'm not going to add any more fennel. Now the other ingredient I added was saffron oil. Okay. And saffron threads are a beautiful, again, aromatic item. And you can see the little tiny threads or strands that we have. They come from the stamen of the flower and are hand-picked. Really expensive. So you can tell it comes in a tin. It's probably going to be kind of nice, right? So it is fairly expensive, but you don't need a lot of it. That's the good news. So all I did was take a little pinch of those saffron threads and add some water to it. Let it soak for a few minutes before I put it into the stew, and you saw what it looked like when I did that. Last thing we want to talk about here before we go back and check on our stew and see how we're looking is something that's always going to be served on the side of a classic seafood bouillabaise, right? And that's a riole. So it sounds fancy and it's certainly a French name, but basically what it is seasoned breadcrumbs. So I took some panko breadcrumbs in this case, added a little bit of cayenne pepper, a little bit of salt, some olive oil, a little bit of saffron water. I wanted a little bit more saffron water in there, and I mixed that up. All right, and this is a nice topping or side dish to get served. Again, classic service of seafood bouillabaisse would be to have this with it. Some people will put croutons on top. Some will do both, and find that a little bit of overkill personally. So we're just going to go with this, and we're going to serve that on the side. And then if you want to add that to your stew, you can do that. If you don't want it, you don't want the carbs, you don't want the gluten, you can skip it, right? So let's come back over and take a look at how our stew is looking. Okay, so we're cooking out nicely. And again, I chopped up the shrimp and I chopped up the scallops. And we had thin pieces of fish. So this is going to cook pretty fast. A little more lemon juice in there. We have our tomato, again our tomato and our leek and our onion, our garlic. And as soon as this is cooked all the way through, all of your fish is cooked, vegetables are nice and tender, the flavors have had a chance to melt together, you're set. So this is not a really long cooking method type of recipe, unlike when we talk about beef stews and things like that might take a little bit longer. This is going to be pretty quick because it's seafood. And in general, seafood is normally pretty fast cooking methods. So we're just about ready to plate this up and see how it looks.
I'm gonna stop.
All right, so we are ready. Nice big bowl, lots of broth, all right? It's a beautiful dish. So we're gonna just transfer our pot over. Right here. And again, the aromas of all the different seafood and fish and the aromatics of the fennel and the saffron really coming out beautifully in there. All right, so we're just gonna bowl this up. Like I said, what we wanna do is just make sure everything is cooked through. It'll take you about 15 minutes or so. Look at that beautiful color, look at that broth. Just a little bit of tightness to it. Lots of seafood, and lots of fennel, lots of onion, right? Oh, smells good. I wish you could smell it. A great blend of seafood, and if you wanted to add, again, some croutons on top, if you want to serve the riole on the side, or you can just put a little bit over the top. It's beautiful. And maybe just a couple of sprigs of parsley on there. Make it look nice. A little bit of green. And you are ready to eat. So there is your seafood bouillabaisse. Enjoy.